Welcome back, Adult English Language Learners, to a live language series. And today we're going to discuss another set of difficult prepositions called from and out of. Let's start with from. One of the meanings of from is a starting point. And a starting point is where something begins and it's going to have a place where it ends. For instance, I could say, I'm going to walk from this tree, the starting point, to this tree, my end point. Another meaning to from is called origin. Or if you've heard other ways that the word is used, originates. Might be another form of the word. So origin simply means where something exists or where something is found. So commonly you hear people talk about where they live, and in social conversations, for instance, a common question is for introductions, so where are you from? A common answer is usually, I am originally from Boston, but now I live in Chicago. So what that means is that person used to exist in Boston for a part of their life, but now they live or exist in Chicago. That's where their life is now. It has nothing to do with how that person got from one place to another. It's simply a change at both ends. Nothing different. So let's talk about out of for a second. Out of has a couple of unique meanings with some very particular context that you could use it in, not have to necessarily. So for instance, out of means a source of something, or it means from among a number of something. So for instance, I could say, forgive me, I don't know all my trees, but this tree is made out of oak, a type of wood. It could be made out of maple, if it's a maple tree. If it's a cedar tree, it could be made out of cedar. It's a particular type of wood. Also, you could say, for instance, if you have a car and maybe you have one of the newer vehicles, you could say, my car is made out of very unique materials, like plastic, like metal, and electronic circuits and wires. Another meaning for out of is a number of something. So for instance, you can say, if once again the trees are a good source here to use, from, let's say there are 10 trees here. From out of 10 trees, this is my favorite out of the 10 trees, this particular one. One out of all the other 10, I happen to like this one the best. Now, there's some other ways that you can use out of that's a little unique. For instance, if we're talking about somebody internalizing feelings that causes somebody to act. For instance, let's say somebody doesn't understand your personality and you joke with that person a lot, and that person, reacts in a rather negative way, maybe violently. And so you're having a discussion with somebody and they said, John probably acted out of anger because you were taunting him so much and didn't understand that you were just joking with him. So that's a kind of a good example, but it's a very specific one. So there's unique ways of using different ways of context with this preposition. Another one can be used as far as a direction. So like from within, somewhere, or something. So for instance, he went from out of the house into the barn. So from inside the barn, he went outside and then back into another building. Also, both of these prepositions are interchangeable. What do I mean by interchangeable? That means you can use one or the other because they have such a very similar meaning. And this is where non-native speakers really have a problem. So, for instance, for a sentence to discuss tearing the pages out of a book, okay? She tore pages from her book. She tore pages out of her book. Doesn't sound very different, right? There's a couple of specific differences depending on your intention of the use of that particular preposition. So, for instance, if I say she tore pages from her book, that means you probably see the pages, and you in here you know it's from her book, and you're guessing that since it's hers, she's probably the one that did it. If you say she tore pages out of her book, that's more of a physical type of thing, in where you saw her do this. You saw her physically rip those pages out of the book. So, are you trying to relay the message that you know she did it, or that you saw her do it? That's really the difference. Another way that you can use more than the same meaning for two, but now I'm going to add a third one on there. So we're going to use from, out of, and with. So I can say birds make nests from branches or twigs. I can say birds make nests out of branches or twigs. And I can even say birds make nests with branches or twigs. So you're like, well, how does that matter in any way? Well, once again, depending on the kind of message you are trying to send by the way you use that preposition. So for instance, if you want to focus on that birds make nests from branches or twigs, it's more of something that you know. Oh, birds always do that. That's the materials that they use, branches and twigs. You've seen it in a book. You've seen it in other places. It's knowledge that you have. If you say birds make nests out of branches or twigs, maybe you saw that happen. You were watching a bird and you just happened to learn that, and you physically saw that happen, whether that's by yourself or on TV. Another way that you could say it is birds make nests with branches or twigs. That means branches and twigs go together when birds make the nests, and you wanted to emphasize that. So what is your specific meaning that you want to use? That's what you have to think about. Now, as far as a unique meaning, out of has a very different meaning, especially when there's bank services involved. So for instance, you may say the bank service fee is taken out of your account every year. Oh, what does that mean? That means somebody is physically inputting it into the computer, and this fee is going to be taken out of your account. And that fee is usually involves, like, to maintain your checking account or your savings account. Banks usually charge some kind of nominal fee, like $3.95 a month, $5.95 a month, depending on the account you have. So, if you remember what we learned today, this will help you better understand the differences of from and out of at a very specific level, and how they are interchangeable. It's a very important thing to understand definitions, because just to say, yeah, I know that I can use both and it doesn't matter. Well, it kind of does. It kind of does. You have to think a little bit deeper about the kind of message you're going to send in English when you write it out. So if you enjoyed this lesson, if you've never seen me before, my name is Matt Mankin, and I'm from American English Consultant Services. And if you have a couple of prepositions that you would like me to take a look at or make a video about for you, please email me at info@AmericanEnglishConsultantServices.com. If you want to see some of the other things that we offer, you can check my website out at www.AmericanEnglishConsultantServices.com. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great day, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.